I feel like everybody thinks you have to pay US salaries to get great talent, but I haven't hired from the US in years and my business has never run smoother. In fact, the best hires I've made have come from the Philippines. I've found people that show up every day like they own the business and they don't cost $5,000 a month. In this video, I'll break down exactly why I only hire from the Philippines and how, if you do it right, it can be your highest return on your talent investment. I'm Zach, I'm the founder of Talented. We place ops talent from the Philippines for 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs. We have our own Amazon store that does $1 million a year in revenue, and I've been hiring from the Philippines since 2021. Now, there's 4 main reasons why I only hire from the Philippines. First is currency leverage, then work ethic, communication, and finally, loyalty. Back in like 2019, 2020, I hit a wall in my Amazon business. I found myself, a lot of my days were spent on low value like admin tasks, spreadsheets, data entry, and it was keeping me, I didn't have enough time in the day for the high leverage stuff, the stuff that would actually move the needle. At the time, I thought I couldn't afford to hire. It just wasn't in the cards for me. I had to scale more on my own because when I looked at Indeed, it was like $4-5 a month, 60K, 70K a year for what I wanted, a full-time admin assistant. That's when I came across the Philippines and discovered the real advantage of currency arbitrage. Because a $900 a month salary in the Philippines is basically the equivalent of like a $60,000 salary in the US. Not because the work is worth less, but because $900 goes way further in Manila than, say, Minneapolis. Now, a lot of people, me included, would say, isn't that just exploiting cheap labor? Not when their alternative is $400 a month with a 2-hour commute each way, because I met plenty of people that used to have those exact conditions. Now they get to earn more, spend more time with their families, and have a job that they're proud to tell their friends and family about. For the cost of 1 US hire, I built a 4-person team in the Philippines. Today, my team handles 95% of my Amazon business. Now, anyone can find cheaper help overseas, but what I didn't realize was how different the work ethic was. Which brings us to number 2. From the dozens of VAs I've hired for myself and for our clients, there's one thing that always stands out: the work ethic. It's a completely different mindset from what I've seen from US employees in that same bracket. They value respect and authority. It's not just about get it done, but get it done well. They take ownership, they show up consistently, and they stay until the work is finished. I've literally had team members say to me, I feel like this is my business too. As someone who likes to build systems for everything, I'm a very process-driven person. That work ethic has been huge. I can take these lower value repetitive tasks of mine, and with the right team member, they will run with it. And now I can spend that time allocated to the stuff that only I can do. Now, I want to be honest here. Every hire is not going to show up like that. But to me, that is not a Philippines problem, but a vetting problem. Which is why in our recruiting process, I focus a lot on the character traits. One thing I want to add, in order to see the full potential of my team's work ethic, I don't have to micromanage them, but I do have to lead them and empower them to reach that. But all this ownership means nothing if communication gets lost in translation. Which brings us to number 3. One of the first questions I get is it hard to communicate with your team? The answer for me is no. English is deeply integrated into the daily life in the Philippines. I saw it firsthand when I was there last year. Schools are taught in English. The lessons are in English. Legal documents are in English. Over 55% of the population speaks English. Good communication is a non-negotiable for my teams, and I put that on all of our clients' teams as well. And when you vet for it properly, it's not an issue. But it's more than the grammar. It's the cultural fluency that matters too. Filipinos grew up on American media. They get the jokes, they understand the tone, they know who SpongeBob is, they know what it means to touch base. And because a lot of them come from these call center backgrounds, they're already accustomed to this professional client-facing communication. Of course, like I said, we still vet for English. I want to hear how they actually speak, not just their test results. But when you do that right, communication is not a barrier. When someone is fluent, aligned, and reliable, you want to keep them. The good news is they want to stay. Which brings us to number 4. In the US, it's fairly normal to switch jobs. People will change for even a 10% pay raise, but I've not found that to be true for the Philippines. In fact, We just hit 3 years with my team captain, Christelle. In my experience, Filipino workers value stability. They have families to provide for. Maybe they're a single parent, and landing a role for an American company is a big deal to them. They don't want to lose that. When you give them the right environment, give them work they can be proud in, and you treat them with respect, they stick. That's also why I invest in teaching my team how I think, like my decision-making process, so that when something changes in the business, as it tends to do, they can adapt. I can put them into that new lane and not have to worry about it. Loyalty compounds. The longer they stay, the more valuable they become. Now, I started hiring because I was drowning. I couldn't keep doing everything myself, but US salaries were out of reach. That's when I found the Philippines. That gave me the leverage I needed to scale my time, and more importantly, it gave me a team I trust. These are not freelancers jumping around. They're loyal, they're driven, they take pride in their work, but none of that happens by accident. You need the right vetting and the right leadership to make that work. But when you get that right, hiring overseas does more than just work. It becomes the single highest leverage move I've ever made for my business. If this video clicked for you and you want more info about how to hire great people from the Philippines, click this video right here. It's a full 2-week breakdown on my process, on how we go from job posting to a new team member. I appreciate you watching the end, and I'll see you in the next video.